likes cars. In today's video we are in the South Island and I am standing in front of the fastest car in the world, the Toyota Corolla. And not just any Toyota Corolla, a rental Toyota Corolla. And why is it the fastest car in the world? Because it's not mine. Therefore if I crash it, it doesn't matter. And I may have already crashed it a little bit anyway. Oopsie. Oh well. I can't believe I'm doing another Toyota Corolla review because I've already reviewed the blue one. That was my last video, and now we've got a grey one. So let's have a look about a Corolla. Now here we are, we're near Hanmer Springs in the South Island, and we're on a typical New Zealand gravel road. And if you're having the full rental car experience, you will be maybe seeing some gravel roads on your holiday. So what's the rental roller like? Well, it's basic and it's cheap and it feels like it's been built down to a price. Who knows, maybe they even make these especially cheap for the rental car market. It's got, you know, big plasticky headlights, and being a cheapy Corolla, it is halogen, just halogen lights, nothing special, nothing flash. The pair at the front of a roller, we have plastic fantastic, and as you can see on the front of this one, it has been to a few decimations of insects. It's pretty basic up front, and to be honest, the design is pretty inoffensive. It's very ho-hum, it's very Corolla. This one is correctly covered in dust because it's been used and abused, and why wouldn't it be? Under the bonnet is an engine. It's a 1.8 litre 4-cylinder with variable valve timing. And look, it doesn't really matter what the power output is. Maybe it's 120 horsepower because you're probably going to thrash the hell out of this car anyway. What does it matter? It's a rental. It's not yours, so don't be gentle. Drive it like you stole it. It's an engine bay. This one is quite dusty, as you can see. There's absolutely nothing of interest here. It's all black plastic. This is probably one view that a Toyota Corolla owner never gets. They probably have no idea what's under the bonnet. They have no idea that there's some dead flies. Man, I know I've been driving through dusty conditions, but woohoo, this is dusty. Corolla's handling on gravel roads is somewhat exciting. Give a bit of a tail slapper. It's not really a rally car, and it's not even a very good pretend rally car. It isn't a rally car, and it gets its arse loose pretty quickly, even if you're not doing much, which keeps it at least exciting. And this is despite having traction control and probably many safety systems activated, which seem to do absolutely nothing, so you're on your own. What's a Corolla like inside? Well, it's almost like a time machine because it feels very dated in here. This might be a previous generation model, but it feels like a car from circa 2004. Let's just start with these doors. Look at this cheap, nasty, painted silver plastic on the door. Now, I have not been in a modern car for quite a while and seen that. It might have been popular in the 2000s, but by 2017 it was well out of date, but yet the Corolla has it. It's a lot of black plastic. It's okay, there's soft touch here, not soft touch, vaguely soft touch, hard plastic, hard plastic, hard plastic. Yes, there's a door bin, you can fit some stuff in there. Moving on to this part of the dashboard, this part here is soft touch. There is some cool funky air vents, they're kind of cool. You got tweeters. Moving on to the center console, believe it or not, you actually have a CD player in 2017 because, you know, they were popular in 2017. Big gripe about this is there is no physical button for on and off. It's all touch, and to put up audio, it's like this. You can't. It's pretty awful to use, and you got to push quite hard, and it's quite basic. And to be honest, all this is the audio. There's no navigation. It's just audio. That's it. Apps. It does have a telephone as well. Apparently there's messages, but it's pretty basic. Moving down, you have some rotary dials. These dials appear in most Toyota models. They're pretty rudimentary and pretty basic, but they work well enough. I mean, there's nothing fancy at all about them, but they're fine. The air conditioning is okay. It's worked reasonably well. There's USB and auxiliary for your phone. Now, the transmission is a CVT gearbox, as previously mentioned. It comes in this gaiter here with some more dated silver plastic and black shiny plastic, which is a little bit more modern. Curiously, in a Corolla there is a sport button, that's for the CVT, and it does exciting things like changes the shift pattern and puts a red light on the dashboard. So in front of you, the steering wheel is it's very, very cheap. Very cheapy plastics here. I mean, hard wearing. This feels like a car that's going to last a long time, but may not necessarily be the most luxurious thing in the entire world. The dashboard's pretty basic, but it's fine. It gives you everything that you need. Screen in the middle, it works well enough. This car has lots of sensors and lots of beepers. It loves to beep, but it's not very useful. It loves to tell you when you go out of your lane, but won't help you get back in it, and can't determine when you've cut a corner as opposed to when you're straight out of your lane. It's quite annoying. It also has a emergency brake notification. It does not brake for you. To be honest, a bit useless. It's actually beeped and flashed brake at me when there's nothing to brake for. So I'm not sure how it's configured, but it doesn't really work very well, and it doesn't. Other things worthy of note, there is a sunglass holder here. There's lights here, but very cheap. Very, very, very cheap. Everything in a Corolla is built down to a price. It couldn't be cheaper, but then again, it is a cheap car. So I guess that's to be expected, and you can't expect much more. But my goodness, this does feel like the base spec of a Corolla. It's very cheap in here, and a world away from anything from Volkswagen. And this is our second to last day of the car. The car's performed pretty well so far as a rental car. However, the beeping is crazy. I've never met a car that beeps so much. If I put the beeping thing on, it loves a beep. It loves to beep. And especially when you're cutting corners, and I don't mean the outside, I mean the inside, where it's safe to do so, it beeps at you constantly. And it also beeps when you're not cutting corners, or you're just getting too close to the line because you're avoiding a car turning into somewhere else, or you're just doing normal safe stuff. And if we're going around here at this corner, maybe a little bit too quickly, it does actually go around the corner quite nicely, and it actually flows pretty well. Overall, this is a very easy car to drive. However, if you do drive a little bit fast, like I said, it will have some understeer. I mean, most of the time you have one hand on the steering wheel. It has cruise control, which I guess is nice, but not particularly relevant when you're speeding up and slowing down. One thing I really wanted to talk about were these HVAC controls here. They are simplicity in themselves. Now, cheap they might be, but I don't have to look to be able to operate them. There's 1, 2 and 3. And the reason I wanted to bring this up is that most modern car manufacturers are moving towards screens in cars. And the simple fact of the matter is that when you're driving in New Zealand, you have to have your eyes on the road all the time. If you take your eyes off the road for 1 second, you're wandering over that centre line. So you really don't want distractions in a car. So driving around town, the rental Corolla, it's fine. It has rubbish radio reception, and it's kind of annoying. There isn't preset feature, which apparently scans, but it misses out half the radio stations every single time. It's a bit useless. It's a bouncy old car. It doesn't handle great, and especially driving on certain roads, maybe at 100 k's an hour, it floats. It almost feels like the wheel is disconnected, and it's strange because it sometimes has really floaty and wayward suspension and handling where you turn the steering wheel quite a bit and it doesn't really seem to change directions. Other times it's fine. It's weird. It's like sometimes it handles differently from other times. Bit of a weird driving experience. It's fine on big open roads, but sometimes it's not. Weird. To sum this car up, it's a rental car. It actually feels made to be a rental car. It doesn't really feel like a car you'd ever buy or own because it's not very good as a car. There's way more comfortable cars, ones that have better interior plastic. And once again, this silver trim, you keep coming back to that, it's awful. The interior is dated, it feels old-fashioned in here. But as a rental car, it's great because it's not yours, and that's why it's the fastest car in the world, because if you crash it, you only have to pay for your insurance excess, which I'm going to have to do. You join me in the Christchurch gondola. Now, how do we sum up the Corolla? It's a car that does what it needs to do. It doesn't necessarily do it well, with any excitement or any verve, but it does work. It's the perfect rental car, maybe, but it sure as heck is not a car that I would recommend you buy. You can get much, much nicer cars.